Hello and welcome to Morning Coffee with Thomas George. And today I'm going to talk about a question I get asked quite often, is hardware synths or software synths? Which one to use, which one to buy? Hardware synth basically means a physical instrument or keyboard or controller, and software synth means stuff that's inside your computer or inside your digital audio workstation. So software synth could be Massive, Serum, the stock synths inside Logic, Cubase, Reason, etc. My answer is start off with software synths if you're already using a digital audio workstation. So if you're already using Ableton Live, FL Studio, Logic Pro for example, any other DAW, just use the software synths. Get used to what stuff like oscillator, filter, resonance, all the stuff on the synth actually means. So get used to like the language of synthesis. And then when you're used to that, I'd recommend having to play with some hardware synths, because the main reason, they're really fun. It's one thing just playing on your little laptops, another thing actually physically moving stuff and having more control. I believe it does make your music sound a lot more kind of live, a lot more organic and natural, rather than just inside the box. You can make some great music just on your laptop. I know Skrillex makes loads of his remixes and records on just in Ableton Live. No hardware, just that. But then you look at someone like deadmau5, if you've seen his masterclass, he's basically got racks and racks and racks of all like old synths everywhere, and all different modulators, just for fun. He says he could pretty much do most of it without all these synths and stuff, but he does it because it's fun, because it stops him getting bored. Because if you just spend all day on your computer or your laptop making music, you can go a little crazy, and having something a bit more fun like hardware synths can make a big difference. Of course it can sound a lot more unique. If you get a really old, like vintage keyboard, like a really old Moog or something, it can sound really cool. And if it's a bit old and dusty, it will have a kind of a unique sound as well. It'll sound a bit crunchy and a bit different to like a typical brand new synthesizer. So I recommend having a look at stuff like that. Stuff like reamping, which you can class as hardware, where you take the signal out of either your laptop or out of your audio interface and put it through other things, like put it through an amplifier, so you get the sound of the amplifier. You can get the sound of a room, so if you want to put it in a room, the signal, and get some reverb. Or you can put it through effects pedals like phases, chorus, distortion, delay, that kind of stuff, just to get a bit of different sound away from the box. There is certain techniques as well. If you've got USB or MIDI out on your external synth, you can record the MIDI information and then record this, so you can basically make sure your synth is played perfectly in time, or you can just play it in, quantize it, or just play it in, and if it's slightly out of time, it doesn't matter. Sometimes being slightly out of time is good, it makes it sound more natural. So that's just my thoughts on hardware synths versus software synths. So I recommend start off with software synths, then when you get used to this, you get used to the synthesis language, you get used to how like sound works, sound design. Then I recommend investing in a few hardware synths just for fun. I like the hardware controllers, like the Push 2, the APC, just so when I'm playing on Ableton Live, I can get a lot more freedom, I can trigger stuff, I can manually change the effects, just because it makes it more fun. That's the main reason. I'd like to say, oh, it sounds so much better. The sound isn't that significant, but it's a lot more fun to do, it's a lot more interesting, just gives you more options to do stuff as well. So yeah, that's my thoughts today, hardware or software. My answer is both. Get them both if you can. Start off with the stock plugins, so start off the ones that come free with your digital audio workstation. I wouldn't go and buy Serum or Massive or whatever, or the whole Waves bundle straight away. Yeah, start off with the stock ones. So use the stock synth sounds, use the stock effects. So use a stock reverb compressor, and then when you get used to this, maybe have a look at the more premium ones that do work a bit better, but at the end of the day they do kind of do the same thing, but you can get some really interesting premium plugins. And then once you're used to that, I recommend having a look at some outboard gear, or some outboard gear, or some external synths or external controllers. Because that way, one, it stops you getting bored because it's more fun. Two, you'll understand how sound actually works, because you have to manually change the settings. It's not just put a preset, because yeah, the outboard gear, there's no preset. You've got to use your ear, you've got to do it properly. So you have to understand how the effects work to actually make it work. There's no like, well, some of the new stuff is presets, but I prefer the older stuff where it's, yeah, you manually turn the knobs to change the sound or to get a sound. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. Start off with free stuff, slowly build your way up. Just buy one thing at a time as you progress, because yeah, some of this gear and equipment can be quite expensive. But if you just buy one thing at a time, it's better to have one decent piece of equipment than have 10 rubbish ones. So yeah, that's my thoughts today, hardware and software synths. So my answer is hardware versus software. They're both great. When I started doing music production, it was pretty much all about the hardware. Now it's slowly going more into software. Software gets better because software plugins weren't that good like about 15 years ago. But now they're getting pretty decent. They're almost at times as good as the hardware stuff. But it makes you lazy. Just banging on the preset, it makes you lazy. You don't understand how it works if you just use a preset. So I try and avoid presets as much as possible. Of course, when you get the synth or you get the plugin, use a preset to just mess around and then try and get a blank slate and work everything out manually. Then you know what it actually does. Then you can always go to a preset and tweak everything, and you have more of an idea of how it works and make your own presets and save these, rather than, yeah, just banging up a Nexus preset, for example. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and yeah, I'll let you get on with the rest of your day.